Right now.
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 Because it's time to right now.
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 Welcome, my friends. And let me say, what an excellent day it is at long last. 400 writing sprint streams and 650 consecutive streams later, we are finally at the official cover reveal of The Last Scarecrow. So today, we're going to be doing, I have a couple things queued up for you. We are going to do the official cover reveal. So I'll be revealing the official book cover for The Last Scarecrow. I'll talk about my process for finding a book cover design artist, what that looked like in terms of the collaboration. And I mean, you'll be able to see the final result. And then I will do a live reading of chapter 1. Chapter 1 has gone through an official probably 3, I would say a good solid 4 drafts. I feel like the first chapter is in a great place and is exactly where I'm wanting the story to be at. Now, just know that the book will still need to go through an editor before we're going to get to being published, but the first draft is as close as it's going to get. I'm very happy in its current state. And we will also be launching the Last Scarecrow website. But you're in luck. You can actually go check out the website right now. So we're going to queue up the website. First things first, while you guys are hopping into the chat, the website reveal done by our very own WTC. So first off, I have to say, WTC, James, you are absolutely incredible. I would not have been able to put together such an incredible website without your help. It is so incredible, so cool, and I am just in such honor, in such awe. Now, I am so stoked. The website has been such an incredible process, and I'm really glad that we were able to do it. I'll dive more into the website and what that process looked like, but I have to say that WTC Creatives definitely absolutely great working relationship. And then of course, always love having you in the community, my friend. So really cool at how the website came out, and I can't believe the Last Scarecrow is finally here. I can't believe it. Like, oh man, it's been it's been ages in the making. And you know that feeling when you get to that point in the book development process where it becomes a little bit more tangible. In my head and in our heads as authors, the book development, the stories, the characters, the world is so tangible in here. And I know you guys have been seeing me writing it on the stream, so many of you are very familiar with different aspects of the story. But being able to bring the book cover to you, being able to bring it to life, has been such an incredible process. So let me queue up. Let's see, what do we got? So we got the book cover, we have the website, and we will talk about the process. I was like, well, I can't really show the website without doing the book cover first. I was like, all right, I guess we're doing the book cover first. So let's see. So we will do the book cover first. So for those of you who are just hopping in, if you're not familiar with The Last Scarecrow, let's queue up the blurb for it. So The Last Scarecrow is a dark fantasy action adventure story. And without further ado, let's queue up the book cover. I am so stoked. I am so happy. I love it. But let's cue it up so you guys can see it. The official book cover for The Last Scarecrow, a Dawn of Magic series, book 1, is So this is the Last Scarecrow, a Dawn of Magic series. And we are going to get to this because Kaufman is always prepared. What is The Last Scarecrow about? The Last Scarecrow is a dark fantasy action adventure story. What happens when you forget that you're the last of your kind? Scarecrow, with fleeting memories of his creators, awakens to a world withering under the nothingness. Nature's elemental magics rage unchecked, animals lose their minds, and even the strongest creatures fade from the threat of the first demon. Haunted by loss but driven by hope, Scarecrow sets out to find the truth, joined by unlikely allies, an eccentric, sharp-tongued crow lost without his younglings, a flightless trickster of a pixie lost without her kind, and a lovelorn grizzly bear lost without his soulmate. Together they traverse the lands of the last, where each shadow hides a predator. Every sunrise beckons the moon, and hope lies like an unnerving melody of entrapment. Can Scarecrow and his wayward companions overcome the challenges of a crumbling world and unravel their truths before they succumb to nothingness? Or will their shadowed nemesis plunge them into eternal suffering, forcing them to forget who they are and why they began their journeys in the first place? A Dawn of Magic series is a dark fantasy action adventure story that explores freedom, loss, and the consequences of magic being unleashed into the universe. Step into a spellbinding tale of mystery, magic, melody, memory, and mayhem. Whew, man, I absolutely am so in love with it all. This is The Last Scarecrow, the first official cover. Now, without further ado, may I present to you The Last Scarecrow, the first chapter, the official first chapter. And we will do this. Song of the Last. For all the creatures in the dark, for all the animals near the mark, for all the beasts who feel the spark, in the lands of the last you see, essence will set you free. Ever the growth in the forest start, the splash and the breath ever wore apart, rekindle the sparks in the burn's black heart, the spirit traps epoch's decree. In the lands of the last all flee, nothing in shadow will be, essence sets you free, lands of last. Book 1. Chapter 1, Field of the Last. Death begets life, Scarecrow. For this, you'll bear nothingness. Wake up. Caw! Scarecrow's eyes opened as a straw hat landed upon his head of willow hair. A sunrise of amber red and orange gold blinded him in greeting. As eyes watered, his raised arm attempted to offer some shade of protection. Rays of light snuck through the frayed holes of his worn sleeve, while a stale smell of dry stuffing assaulted his senses. Pulling up his sleeve revealed a forearm of interwoven straw sinew, slick but solid. An identical forearm was mirrored beneath his opposite sleeve. The rest of his body appeared to be straw sinew beneath, worn pants, flannel, and a broken knee-length coat, torn and full of holes. He peered down at his fingerless canvas gloves, vine-wrapped twig fingers sticking out. Flexing his fingers brought about a pained gasp from lack of use. What was he? Try as he might, nothing came to mind, save for the whispers of a half-forgotten dream. Death begets life, he whispered. Dumb scarecrow, dumb scarecrow, dumb scarecrow, a bird cawed from atop a wooden stake. The bird, a crow, black with silver-streaked feathers, scanned the horizon. Looking up, he realized a massive wheat field was spread out before him, while a sheer cliffside was at his back, waves roaring in the distance. He gripped the wooden stake behind him. Where was he? Focus, Scarecrow, the crow cawed repeatedly, landing squarely on top of his head as talons sank through the hat. The crow tilted its head down in front of his face. Sleek silver and black feathers trailed around large eyes, one black, one white. Inspecting him, the crow's head twitched. Not a scarecrow, just a scared crow, not a scarecrow. I'm not scared, he protested, even though he couldn't remember a single thing. With a gulp, he murmured, I'm not scared. The crow pecked at his eye. Scarecrow flinched, grabbed his hat, and swatted at the bird as it circled him, tauntingly. He stopped, eyeing the strangeness of the pointed hat, sewn together with straw. Hundreds of tiny stitches kept it intact, despite the fragile appearance. The brim felt warm. Fingers still aching, he pulled a straw thread apart as it frayed, then rewove itself anew, seamlessly. The bird stopped before his face and cawed. Lose the hat! Back to straw! Scarecrow thrust the hat back atop his head, nodding carefully. What was he? Up above, the sun sped across the sky, racing to the horizon in a matter of seconds. That was unnatural, right? He hopped to his feet and yelped in pain as the stiffness of his legs sent him tumbling into the dirt. The crow spiraled to the ground, landing on its back as it squawked and screeched. Scarecrow rubbed his head as he leaned onto his side, watching the crow roll about until he realized, Are you laughing? Scared and brainless, the crow cawed between laughs. I have a brain. At least, I hope I do, he whispered. The crow crawled atop his arm, talons sharp. Hey, what are you? Hay is for horses, horse brain. Crow cawed while furiously pecking at his upper arm. What's a horse? Ouch! No, that tickles. Horse, Crow said between pecks. Brain, and more pecks. Scared, pecks. Crow. The crow cawed in his face, clamped onto his wrist, and pulled. Scarecrow's arm from the forearm down detached from his body as stuffing burst from the socket. I need that, Scarecrow cried as he rolled over to swipe for his detached arm. His fingers brushed against his stolen arm with a miss as the crow yanked it out of arm's reach. Literally. He watched helplessly while his twig fingers and the fingerless glove attached to the straw forearm slid out of his coat sleeve and into the air. The crow flapped his wings faster, with the wrist clamped tightly between his beak. Somehow, he still managed to caw mockingly. Don't you have a heart? Caw! I need that! Caw! Survive! He trailed off. The crow's shadow grew smaller, cast down by the rays of the darkened sun, which inched, moment by moment, beyond a mountain range in the distance. Scarecrow brushed dirt from his coat and pushed himself off the ground back onto his feet, with much one-handed difficulty. He gritted his teeth at the pain coursing through his legs from being inactive, but managed to get up anyway. Standing upright, he balanced himself, gazing longingly at the empty coat sleeve where old Lefty should have been. The crow circled above and flew off toward a tree line, out beyond the wheat field. Shivering, he looked back at the long pole sticking out of the ground. How strange for a field to rest on the edge of a cliff. Waves roared in the distance, the sky growing cloudy. Perhaps a little adventure would jog his memory. Adventure. That word scratched at a memory. Adventure. Letting the word roll off his tongue, he sighed. The crow's caw echoed in the distance. I want my arm back, he shouted. A distant caw echoed out tauntingly as the crow flew farther away. Scarecrow clenched his fist midair. Before him lay a field of corn, wheat, and grass, twice his height, which was surprising because he seemed tall. With cliffs at his back, a dense forest beyond, and the thieving crow as his compass, he took off at a jog. He ran awkwardly along the dirt, nearly falling before regaining his balance. His legs screamed painfully at him from lack of use, but he pushed on, each step becoming easier. Worn black boots protected his straw feet, while the torn, knee-length coat flapped behind him like a streamer in the wind. Rushing headlong through the wheat, grass, and corn made him feel alive. The smells of fresh vegetation greeted his senses, while his fingers glided along stalks of grain and fruits. Why didn't he remember anything? A bright flash streaked across the sky. In seconds, sunlight withered as the sun hid behind clouds, giving way to a midnight blue moon and a night sky of fading stars. A rotation that passed in the blink of an eye? How was that possible? The shadowed moon glared down at him tauntingly. He tripped and slid face first into the ground. Scarecrow coughed up a cloud of dirt, waving his hand about to see what he had stumbled across. Tattered remnants of a scarecrow, cotton, and stuffing strewn among the wheat. A few feet away, torn pants and clothing lay spread about, intermingled with scraps of wool. Lip trembling, he looked away. Another bodiless scarecrow had stared up at him, one eye ravaged, the other empty, hollow, and full of judgment. His head whipped around in all directions. Tatters, remnants, wool. Death begets life. Scarecrow. No distractions, he cried, stumbling to his feet awkwardly with one arm. Running away, he stumbled over another body, this one striped, denim, and a similar torn coat, also a scarecrow. To the side, a scarecrow's head was half shorn open with brown molded stuffing spewing out. He ran. Everywhere he looked, scarecrow arms, bodies, heads, and wool grew as permanent fixtures. This wasn't a field. It was a graveyard. Scarecrow burst out of the wheat field and slid to a halt, dust kicking up around him. He coughed. But it wasn't from the dirt. A heaviness grew deep in his chest. Something must have happened to those poor scarecrows to end like that. Was he the last one? He shook his head as the dust settled, revealing a dense forest. A muffled cawing rang out from above the tree line. Through the treetops, he spotted the crow, now a welcome sight against the nightmare of death behind him. His arm dangled loosely from the crow's beak. The blackbird nosedived into the forest. For the briefest moment, his arm looked to be waving at him before being swallowed by the dense canopy. End reading. Man, woo! I'm very happy at how that first chapter turned out. So thank you all so much for joining in this endeavor. That was very, very fun. I'm very, very happy with that chapter. As I read through it, I can definitely see some minor proofreading tweaks and slight edits that can be made, but developmentally, I'm pretty happy with it. So what did you think? What are your thoughts? Did you like that first chapter? What do you think of the book cover? I would love to hear. Is there anything that stands out for you as you look at the cover of The Last Scarecrow? Anything that stood out to you from the first chapter? I would love to hear. Drop a comment. That first chapter is pretty finalized. So we're going to go into the book cover and the website, both of which were absolutely incredible experiences. So let's pull up the Last Scarecrow website by our very own WTC. I know some of you have already been checking it out in the chat. So here we go. We have the official The Last Scarecrow website. Very, very difficult to find. thelastscarecrow.com. All right, just kidding. So if you want to go check out the website, I'll drop the link in the chat. It's also linked down in the YouTube description down below. So this was done by our very own WTC Creatives. Absolutely an awesome writer in the community. Highly recommend checking out his books as well. It's definitely an excellent writer. Would highly recommend. But James, you did an absolutely great job with the website. I'm so happy at how it turned out. Aw, Courtney, thank you so much, my friend. I truly appreciate you. Now, as we go through here and we look at the website itself, right? So we have the homepage, and then, of course, we have our hint at a very creepy, dark scene. I was like, yes, I loved how this came out, actually. I was like so stoked at how the website and how some of the the website images have come out. I have set up the newsletter. So for those of you who are already subscribed to the Art of Writing newsletter, you'll receive some of the updates for Scarecrow. But for those of you who want specific updates for The Last Scarecrow, I suggest signing up here. Essentially what this will do is once you sign up for this, you will automatically get sent the email that will give you an exclusive chapter, which is called The Cult of the Moonflower. It is a sneak preview chapter from about somewhere in the second act, and let me tell you, it is an incredible chapter. Like, even as I went back through it and I reviewed it, I'm like, dang, I really want to read this one live, because it's like there's so much tonality. It follows a very clear arc, and it is a very dark look at the world. So for anybody who wants to check it out, absolutely, you can put in your name and email address, and the email should get sent to your mailbox. So definitely everyone go check out the chapter 14, The Cult of the Moonflower, after this. And then, of course, our cover, the blurb for The Last Scarecrow, coming soon, coming to a bookshelf near you. And then, of course, I have my credits here. So the book cover design was done by Alessio Fiorazzi. And let me pull up Alessio's website. Alessio is an incredible artist, by the way. Let me pull up here. So Alessio is an awesome artist, by the way. We connected on socials, and I absolutely loved his cover design, his cover style. So essentially what I did when I was looking for my book cover design artist, I went onto socials because I knew as my first book cover, I was like, I don't have a lot of money to invest in it, but I definitely wanted to invest something. I wanted to hire a real book cover design artist. And as we know, if your book cover is not good, if it doesn't capture attention, then no one picks up the book. The book could be incredible, but if the cover sucks, nobody reads it, right? So I knew that I really wanted to hire somebody. I wanted the illustrated hand style for the Scarecrow. This was my very clear image here that I had in mind. What I did was I threw out posts on socials asking, hey, I need a book cover design artist. I listed a couple of things that I was looking for. And then I also went and checked out other artists' socials on social media. Now, I probably sifted through at least a couple hundred replies and profiles until I landed on this one. And specifically what I did was I wanted to land on an artist who didn't have a humongous book cover design portfolio already. Because I knew the more reputable an artist is, the higher the price point for a book cover was going to be for it to go up. So I wanted to get an artist who was building up their portfolio and whose style matched my vision. I reached out to Alessio. It was an absolutely incredible working relationship. And it was definitely very, very cheap. Very, very cheap. I ended up spending, I want to say this one was about, I spent about 400 on this. And I'm so happy with it. Realistically, I feel like I should have been charged more, but he definitely gave me a huge discount for what we're doing with the Right Now community. So if you're looking for like a cover design artist, definitely should go check out Alessio. He's an absolute incredible cover design artist. I want to say we chatted originally. I kind of told him my vision. I gave him some ideas and some thoughts. He took back to it. It took about 2 weeks, and then he came back to me with a sketch, and he showed me the sketch step by step. Now, I absolutely loved the sketch itself. Now, you know what's interesting is originally, let me go here. I see I have a question. WTC. Let's see. Great job. Oh, by the way, yeah, the website is awesome, by the way, WTC. And we'll continue on the website in just a second. Like, I love how the website is like a book. Every time you look at it, you find more details and enjoy it more. Yes, and that's really what I'm wanting, right? We will continue to add images to it so it continues to feel fleshed out. But there are just so many moments of Scarecrow, so many parts of this diverse, vast world that I want readers to feel like they can get lost in. Let's see. WTC, thanks. I believe you two have a bit of experience with some web design too. WTC has done a number of our author websites in the community. Highly recommend WTC if you're looking for an author website. Absolutely agreed. Are you trying to say that a book is judged by its cover? Absolutely, WTC. A book is absolutely judged by its cover, which is why the cover is so important, right? The cover is half the battle. If they read the cover, then they check out the blurb, whether that's on the book itself, if they're in a physical bookstore, or usually on the Amazon page or wherever the book is listed, right? That's where the blurb is important. Book cover, blurb, chapter 1. If chapter 1 does not pull the reader in, they're not going to read the book, right? So it's definitely a trifecta that you have to master. Thanks so much, my friends. So back to the book cover design process. So after I gave Alessio after I gave him ideas, it took him about 2 weeks to come up with a sketch, which was really cool. Now he came out with an initial sketch for it. And what's interesting is in the original design, we did not have, I didn't have a gore. I was like, let me see, I should probably pull up here. So in the original sketch, I'll make this a little bigger. I didn't have gore here. Now, for those of you who are kind of familiar with the world, Gore is the last grizzly and is one of the characters who joins a little later in the novel. But we realized here, I thought this was a really great opportunity since he's a very predominant character in the back half of the book. And of course, we have a lot of elements of the world. I knew I wanted to have a type of weather effect that was very predominant because the world is very, very much controlled in a way by its by the inability to understand the various weather patterns. When and then of course the crow and the pixie. Originally I wanted them flying through the air. So originally I wanted them, they were going to be a background effect, so like they were all flying towards this vocal point. But with the original sketch, the way it looked, it didn't feel natural with the design. And the reason being was because when he as Scarecrow came more and more to life, the Scarecrow character was such an incredible design. Like, oh my goodness. Like the way that he did these straw stitchings, the way that he did the straw, it was just so well done. And I was just so happy. I was absolutely in love the first time I saw the original sketch. But the problem was because the Scarecrow design was so incredible, the original Pebble, the Pixie, and Mr. Crow in the background, it kind of made them just look like, who cares? So I made it difficult because then I was like, then I'm asking for revisions. But then essentially we adjusted and course corrected to have to bring the Pixie and Mr. Crow to the forefront of the image. Since really a majority of the novel is Scarecrow, Mr. Crow, and Pebble the Pixie, right? So then I feel like this really captures our four predominant characters here. And I'm like very, very happy with how that turned out. And then, of course, once we had set on the finalized sketch, then came the coloring. The coloring was awesome. I kept trying to, I probably really, really challenged Alessio. I was trying to ask for as many things as possible. And I'm glad we were able to get as many details as we did. Right. I wanted there to be a lot of these world building elements here. We got a world tree, which for those reading the novel is a destination of the characters. We have some other settings that are focal points throughout the story. Yeah, we actually have a number of different settings actually that are focal points throughout the story. So I'm very happy at how it turned out. And then we got to the coloring, and once we had the coloring here, the vibrancy of the flame and the blue really made each of these characters stand out because Scarecrow himself doesn't have like a magical effect, but his color palette is so incredible that the coloring of the Pixie and the Crow really had a contrast against him. So absolutely love that. Last came the typography. So I had to figure out what type of typography to use. Now, for the fantasy genre, I went through a number of different styles. I asked a number of friends in the community for their feedback. I probably did about 5 to 6 different mock-ups in figuring out what is the exact cover style that I want in terms of the typography. I went and I looked at about 30 and I started with epic fantasy because that's kind of the most popular for fantasy, generally speaking. And then I diverged a little bit into dark fantasy. And ultimately, I realized that we wanted the title to be simple. I almost made the wording a little bit like larger across the book, but because the cover is so well done, there's just so much imagery and design in the book, in the cover itself. I did not want to lose as many of these details as possible. So I felt like this was my closest that I could get, making the typography and the font as large as possible, which is very standard for fantasy books. Fantasy books, large font, large typography, all uppercase is very, very normal. So I knew that because it emphasizes the idea. And then I want to say that the typography, the font I used was Adobe Caslon Pro. I tried about 30 to 40 different fonts based on my research of popular fonts that were used in best-selling fantasy novels. And then I played around with different styles for my the name down here, which I want to say was E.B. Garamond. Or it might have been E.B. Garamond. It's a variation. It's a specific variation of Garamond. So and yeah, and like usually with this, sometimes authors will use the same typography, but a lot of the times I notice that there's usually 2 typographies that are used for book covers that distinguish the titling and and the author name. Sometimes fantasy books will have the title at the bottom because it lets you focus on the image. But I think with this one, because the characters here are very well positioned, I couldn't do the title at the bottom without losing Crow and Pebble. So it made sense for the typography for it to be framed like this. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So very, very happy. Absolutely great experience. Highly recommend. Go check out Alessio the next time you're looking for a book cover design artist. He was an absolutely incredible human being to work with, and highly recommend. Generally, book covers are generally going to cost you anywhere between $100 to probably $500 is kind of that range that you'll see for cover designs. Sometimes you can get cheaper, sometimes you go more, right? Cover design artists who have a portfolio and have best-selling authors under their belt, probably going to charge a little bit more. Cover design artists or artists who have a smaller portfolio, probably going to charge a little bit less because they're building it up, right? You got to do your research and you got to figure out what style of artistry do you want. So I knew it was very, very important for me to get the cover design artist for Scarecrow. Now, as we hop back into the website, so once again, the book cover, the way that I decided to go about this is for all the images on the website, the book cover is, of course, Alessio, the cover artist, and then all of the images are AI generated. Now, essentially what I did with the images, to help further distinguish that it's my world and my work, all of the generated images, I used the book cover and specific text from the Scarecrow manuscript to generate the base images. I then did color grading and adjusting for each of the images that you see throughout the website. And then I had to do repositioning, rescaling, and a lot of editing to get certain looks that I wanted. So I would say that I started with the base image for the AI generated images, and then did a lot of heavy editing on top to get specific looks. Ones like these, like this one was interesting. I had to play around a lot to get the style with the this character, our antagonist. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I know this one is an older one that I've had around for a while, and of course the author bio, right? Anybody who doesn't know me probably wants to know who I am and what I do. I feel like this is probably a good rough bio for anybody who wants like that kind of little background about who I am. I do have to update this though to 400 consecutive or 600 consecutive streams. So clearly this has to be updated, but I guess I'm seeing my about me. I've used my this bio for a little while now. So go to update my bio, but overall pretty good. Now let's chat about the story progress for the book. So we have a good setting here in terms of the planning, the early drafting, the first draft, and the cover art are, of course, all done. For those of you who have been in the live streams, you know that I am probably about 65 to 70% of the way through the second draft. And then I'm about 15% of the way through the third draft. I put a pause in the second draft because I need to get the first half of the book out for feedback while I'm finishing the second draft of the book. So it can make sure, since getting feedback is going to take time. So definitely had to make sure that I did that. And of course, those of you who've joined me with the map, this was the original map that I designed for the Lands of the Last. I like the overall look of it. I like the style. Now, what I'm going to have to do is I'll probably have to do a re-rendering of this to make it look a little bit more like it's hand-drawn and story-drawn and a certain style for the book itself. So, but I'm very happy with how that came out. And yeah, so right now the newsletter is live. Once again, if you want to go to the website, you can get the copy of the exclusive chapter, Cult of the Moonflower, which is definitely very creepy. So that was very cool. And then under the learn more, if you really want to know more elements of what the Last Scarecrow is about, I would say that the Last Scarecrow, a Dawn of Magic series, is for readers who enjoy vast fantasy worlds with dark undertones and foreshadowing story elements on every page. The Lands of the Last is a dark fantasy world. There are genre elements of action-adventure, science fiction, post-apocalypse, and folktale. Some of the major themes explored are magic and its consequences, identity and self-discovery, trauma and healing, resistance against hopelessness, environmental and ecological extremes, survival of the fittest, grief and loss, and kindness versus hate. There are never before seen twists on fantasy and folktale characters, cultures, and beliefs. So that's just a brief little bit about who the book is for. The Last Scarecrow is book 1 of a Dawn of Magic series. I realized after doing the book cover, I'm like, I didn't actually put the Dawn of Magic series subtitling on the cover. And I think for now, it's not too important until I get further into the development process. So, but I would say that the overall series definitely explores a very folktale heavy world contrasted against the fantastical, magical chaos that has attributed to this type of world. So, yeah, that is the website. Once again, thanks to WTC for being awesome and helping me bring this to life. Absolutely incredible, my friends. So really, really cool. And I am super stoked. I'm very, very stoked to see what I see. Ah, man. So that was absolutely a great, great experience. I'm so happy I was able to do that. And that I think that is everything. All right, that's got through. Was able to get through everything. I feel like I made some solid, substantial progress with that part of the book. Very, very happy we were able to do that. So I just want to say, everyone, it's been absolutely incredible. I really appreciate all of you, whether you're newer to the community or whether you've been around for a while. I really, truly appreciate your support. For those of you who haven't heard the story before, The Last Scarecrow started off as a 2-page free write, January 1st, 2024, about a crow stealing a hat from a scarecrow. It evolved over the course of the first month of daily live streams, where then I started adding some like fun environments the scarecrow chased the crow through. And then once I was, let's say, anywhere between like 6 to 7 chapters into it, I realized I'm like, okay, this is a world that I want to more fully explore. Let me pull back for a second and ask myself, what is the true story that I want to tell? What is the true type of world that I want to explore? So then I mapped out the entire rough outline for The Last Scarecrow, which falls in at about 55 chapters. Right. And I want to say right now, I mean, it is at a higher word count. Everyone knows I need to cut down on some wordiness through the edits, but I want to say the book is falling at about 500 to 600 pages right now. So we'll see how the editing process goes in terms of bringing it down, and we'll see what the final draft looks like. So very cool. And I think we are on a good track. So very, very, very cool. And I think that is everything that I got. We'll continue working on writing sprints. I will continue working on the Scarecrow. Like I'm working on it like nonstop. So that way we can get a more finalized publishing date. Once I am through the third probably once I'm through the second draft, I'm at that point where I'm starting to think about the editor, because I feel like I'm probably got about 2-3 more months in drafting. Yeah, I probably got about 2 to 3 more months in the drafting process with the rate that I've been going at. I've been going at a pretty good rate for how quickly I've been making it through Scarecrow the past couple weeks, since I've kind of been able to really focus more time on it again. So I imagine drafts 2 and 3 will probably be about 2 to 3 more months, which means then handing it off to an editor takes probably about a month, give or take. So I imagine publishing date will probably be in the spring at this rate. So I think that's what feels right. It will probably be in the spring. Once I get it in the hands of an editor, I will then set the date along with sharing what the book launch strategy is going to look like. I'm bouncing back and forth between doing a Kickstarter campaign or doing a pre-order launch through Amazon. still kind of playing around with different ideas. It is my every intention to launch the Last Scarecrow with all 4 drafts, with all 4 variations of, or with all 4 formats of books: ebook, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook, as I believe each one can be for a different type of reader, especially our audiobooks. So yeah, that's the goal of it, my friends. I appreciate all of you dropping in, and I really appreciate all the support. Let's keep pushing on as we go forward into the next part of our writing journeys. Thank you all for joining me today. That's all that I got for you. I'll be back tomorrow with another daily writing live sprint stream. We'll be back probably around the same time. I'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow, and we'll get some more words in. So thank you all for joining me for the official The Last Scarecrow book cover reveal. It's out there. It exists. The website is awesome. If you want to check out updates, the updates will be added to the website, or it will be updated through the newsletter for those of you who are subscribed. But unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. Words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. It's time to write.
Right now.
Sorry.
Right now, not right now, but right now. Read now, right now. Is that right?
Words are wind,